This podcast is sponsored by nobody. Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now, I am so excited for today's guest because I will be talking to Candy Shaw. Her and I have known each other 16 years. We met at the Brainwash Cafe around 2007, and we both did stand up and open mic for a long, long time. And she got out of comedy for a long, long time, and now she's back into it, and she's just killing up in the Bay Area doing shows. And we're going to talk about all that today. We're going to talk about our history. We're going to talk about, coming back to stand up, and she's such a funny, funny lady, and she's gorgeous too. And I knew her back when she was Candy Chirilla, but she's married now under her name Candy Shaw, and I can't wait. I'm so glad that she came back to comedy. She is just an absolute genius. And also, too, today is March 21st. I'd like to give a birthday shout out to my good friend, Lena Granada, aka Lily. I have known her since high school, and she's always been a great friend. So, happy birthday, Lily. Love you, hun. So, yeah, here is my interview with Candy Shaw.
Hello.
Hey, Candy, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Yay, I'm good. How are you? Was looking forward to it.
Oh, I am just fantastic. How you been?
Oh, pretty good. Let's see, since I last saw you, how many years ago was that?
Oh my God, it's got to be at least 12, 13, maybe. Long
So,
time
yeah,
ago.
so much has happened. Oh my God.
Yeah, oh my God. So we met in, like, I remember it was like late summer 2007 at the Brainwash Cafe, rest in peace.
We're
And
good, yeah.
yeah, and I had just moved back after 3.5 months of living in Arizona, and I had a life-changing experience losing 130 pounds at that time. And
Wow.
yeah, I'd started stand
I
up
think I
in,
knew that.
yes,
Sorry to interrupt you.
it's okay. I had started stand up in June 2006, and me and my buddy Daniel, who I'm sure you remember, we had started going there. And I remember the first time I saw you, I had never seen you before, and I was like, "Ooh, look at that hottie."
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and I remember making you laugh. We were sitting on that brainwash couch that was there, and
hmm
there was some comic there. He had this golden key of, I don't know what the hell that thing was, and I was like, "What's that? A G spot locator?" And you were rolling. I remember, and that was our introduction.
Still holds up.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Was that night your first night ever doing stand up? I don't remember.
Good question. Shoot, I believe it was, I want to say June or July 2006.
Yeah.
I think it came up like in one of my Facebook memories because for some reason I thought it was a little bit later that year. My memory is a little skewed now over the years.
Same here.
So, but it was probably very close. Although I don't remember being really social with anybody my first night.
Yeah.
I remember Nick Leonard, who I met through the improv community.
Hmm.
He really encouraged me to go to the Brainwash and try stand up, and I did. And usually, whenever it's somebody's first time, Tony Sparks would give this whole big, this kind of spiel he has where, this is their first time, so give
Yeah.
them, and all the
A
comics.
lot of love.
A lot of love, yes.
Yeah.
I didn't do that because I didn't think to tell him it was my first time on stage. So I missed out on that, but that's okay. At least I can say I was a part of that scene at some point.
Yeah. Were you part of? Were you doing improv first?
I was, yeah. I actually, I started out in acting.
Hmm.
So I did like, put it this way, I did I was Snow White in the first grade play, and then my next play was when I was 19 in college, and then I was sort of not focused all over the place, and then I started pursuing acting a little bit more seriously in my early 20s, and I did. I've never done musical theater. I've always done just regular plays, and I was living in North Carolina and taking this really great acting course, and got an agent, and never did it like just full time for a living because I couldn't quite make that leap. But that was my first thing. Because it's funny, sometimes people ask me, they're like, "Oh, well, have you ever did you ever act?" And I'm like, "Honey, that's where I started."
Wow. Yeah, I found that a lot of the open micers that we knew at the Brainwash had started out in improv.
Mm-hmm. And improv, I think it's really worth, if you're doing any kind of acting or stand-up, I really think it's worth it to take a really great improv class, because you do learn some skills that really, really help you. Because there's like little games, for example, like, let's say the one character, we're doing a scene, I'm super positive and bubbly, and then you're like the negative Debbie Downer guy. Like, that's a game. That's an example of something you can play. And then I feel like that would help you in, say, writing a sketch or writing some sort of script or something,
Yeah, absolutely. You're from Scranton, right?
Originally, yeah, Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I always remember that. What year did you move to the Bay Area?
I moved, so I left Scranton in '98, and then I left North Carolina in 2004.
Oh, you were in North Carolina.
Yes, yeah.
Was that where you were going to college?
I finished up there. I started, it's funny, I was almost a professional transfer student. I went to a junior college in Pennsylvania, then I did like a year at the University of Scranton, and then I finished up at this Guilford College in North Carolina. Major was Justice and Policy Studies. It's like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
So Guilford College, as far as I know, it's the only college in the country that calls it that. It's just criminal justice, basically, same kind of curriculum.
Right.
But it's just an uber PC way to say it.
Yeah. Uber PC. I like that. Uber PC. Yeah. What is your day job?
So right now I teach a couple fitness classes, and that's about it. Just mostly just comedy, and I host a trivia night once a week.
Oh, wow.
So my day job, it's funny, I never did anything criminal justice related. My goal was, this was kind of what a lot of people were doing. You do criminal justice, and then you go to law school.
Right.
Oh, excuse me. And thankfully, I came to my senses, like my last year of school. I was just like, I don't think law school's for me, and I was just very intimidated, and I knew a lot of work, and I don't know, I just felt like that's such an investment, and I thought, nah, I don't want to do that. I kind of would rather pursue this, like, showbiz kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah. So many people, they put all this time and effort into, getting like, this huge paying career, and then halfway through it, they find more comfort in the arts. I've noticed that. Yeah. I mean, I never really aimed that high to like be, a doctor or a lawyer or a firefighter or anything like that. I mean, I've always gravitated towards the arts. I just didn't know how to get in for a long time and do things and stuff, and I just wasn't motivated for a long time. I guess it takes a specific kind of drive to start out doing all those other things and then go into the arts.
Yeah, excuse me. I was talking to this woman who she was a massage therapist, and she had originally wanted to act, and she said, it's hard enough just to run your life, and then you're pursuing another career, like in addition, what I mean? And in addition to what you're doing, she said, it wasn't for me. but yeah, it's hard to run your life basically, and financially it can be tough to do it. Like I sometimes, and I try not to live with regret, but I think, okay, well maybe back then in my 20s, like if we had these app jobs, it would have been easier for me to, work when I wanted to and go on auditions when asked to. So that's, not everybody has that freedom.
Right. Oh my God. There's so many things I remember you said on stage that I never forgot, that I always remember. Like getting the vibrator that says "Happy Birthday, go fuck yourself." you know.
Yeah, that's funny. I threw out so many of my old jokes.
Yeah.
They're either like would get me canceled today, or like, or just not. They're just not relevant to my life, because I did have a lot of single girl material stuff, and
Oh yeah.
later I'm married, and excuse me, I even had like a bit about living in Oakland, and it's like, yeah, I haven't lived in Oakland in a few years, but yeah, that was fun. It was yeah, I think I was a little dirtier back then.
I haven't got up on stage in
For
like
sure.
I haven't got up on stage in like 5 years, and so like I don't think I don't know, maybe there's some things that I wouldn't do today, but there's lots of gold I had that was just so great as time went on, especially after my car accident. I just got angrier and just sharper, and I was just dedicated because I had so much time on my hands once I was recovering from my accident.
Oh, and I'm sorry, I don't think I knew about your accident. When was this?
That was January of 2015. I got, it was a drunk night, and I ended up in a coma for 30 days, and
Excuse me.
it was pretty bad. Everyone was damn sure that I was dead, and I'm pretty sure I was for a long time, and then God wasn't through with me, and
Wow.
I got and then I got out of the hospital the day before my 32nd birthday, and by August I was back on stage, and I was pretty much on stage every day from that time on until I moved up here to Reading, where there's like no comedy up here. And I was just dedicated, and I took a lot of shit, a lot of open micers who fucking hated me before my car accident, because I was just going up on stage drunk and just walking through things and being stupid, and they were all trying to fucking cancel me and sabotage me and all this shit, and I fought through it for as long as I could.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't know that you.
Yeah, when did you when did you start taking a break and
Well, I
quit?
didn't take a break. I quit.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure my last show was in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I basically, I was just sick of it. I always felt like I had one foot out the door,
Mm-hmm.
and so I was in it for like that was about 6 years, and I was really just getting sick. Sick of it. Just felt like I was spinning my wheels. Didn't think I was getting anywhere, and I didn't even know where I wanted to get. I didn't have like a big end goal. I wasn't like, all right, I want a sitcom based on my life, or I want to headline the Punchline, or like I didn't have specific stuff to keep me motivated, and. And then I met my husband, and I got a dog, and I was just like happy and just wanted to be home.
Yeah.
And so normally I dealt with hecklers pretty well, but this happened. It was like a twice in 1 week thing. So I'm at this show in Danville. It was this restaurant,
Mm-hmm.
and I just remember the hecklers were just relentless,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a couple, and somehow I found out that one of them was like the owner's kid. So I was like kind of ripping them a new ass, but then I was just like, ugh, why am I even doing, like, it's not even, if you're not even into it, it's not even fun to rip a heckler up,
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm so over it. And then there was this other guy, and I'll never forget, he kind of looked like Danny Trejo. His name was Dana.
Yeah.
And he was drunk, and he was heckling me. And after my set, and this was like not a paid gig, so I went to take advantage of my free meal.
Yeah.
And I'm eating the meal, and he was hanging out at the bar. He left. He's visibly intoxicated. He comes back.
Mm-hmm.
They're still serving him, and I can't remember if I just, talked to him first or he talked to me, but I just basically told him what a piece of shit he was.
Wow.
and I wish I had kept a journal. I can't remember exactly what he said, but he basically threatened to rape and kill me in the parking lot.
Oh, God.
And, sometimes people are like, well, wow, you should have called the cops or this. And it's like, I don't even know if I had been sober, would I had called the cops on if somebody's threatening me. Like, I think I just left, basically. And I wasn't, like, driving drunk or whatever, but because I had at least, a glass or two of wine, I was just like, no cops, just, I got to get out of here. And I was, like, I was in tears when I left, and I don't think he saw it. But, I went home, and again, like, I don't remember exact dates or whatever, but I swear to God, within, like, a week, I'm doing my show. I used to do a little showcase at McNally's in Oakland, and there's not, like, a stage per se, but I'm, up there, I'm hosting, I'm opening up the show, and there's this heckler, and he won't shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And he's a drunken Irish dude, like, Irish accent and all that. I don't know why that's important, but I'm part Irish, so I guess I can make fun of the Irish.
Yeah, I'm part Irish too.
Yeah, okay, good. So he comes into I'll say the performing area, and he's like in my face, and he whips his dick out.
Oh.
And I'm just like, what the fuck? And again, when you're watching a show and like the character makes the wrong choice, and you're like, no, why did you do that? You know what I mean? Like, I should have punched him in the face or something. I don't know, but I should have gone to the owner who was working the bar.
Yeah.
He would have thrown him out for me.
Yeah.
He called me the next day and told me because he was like, what the hell happened? Instead, I was just like, fuck this, fuck stand up, fuck this Irish guy with his tiny little dick. I shut the show down. So these poor comics who that was their plans for the night. I apologized to all of them later. They're just kind of like, what, stunned. And the thing is, because he had his back to everybody, I think people didn't really know like what he had done. Mm-hmm. And again, I just got the fuck out of there, and I was just like, I'm done. I don't need this shit. And that was it. So it's funny when people are like, oh, you take a break. I'm like, no, I really quit. I didn't quit for good, but I quit.
Oh my God, that is a good reason to quit. I'll tell you. Oh my God. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I actually kind of remember, in early 2013, which was 10 years ago, I fucking can't believe it's been that long. I hosted an open mic night, and I remember I was reaching out to everybody I knew, including you, and so many people weren't doing it anymore, or fucking there were certain people who wanted to be paid. Like I asked Justin Scales to fucking headline the night, and he's like $50. I'm like, God damn it, man. And so Jeff Applebaum ended up coming down and headlining for free, and he's still a good friend to this day.
Oh, he's a nice guy, yeah.
Yeah, love Jeff. Yeah, I gotta get him on here. I haven't reached out to him to come on. I need to. So me and Daniel started going to Brainwash in June of 2006. We were there every Thursday until January of 2009, and then I wanted to take a long break because I was working on the weekends as a bouncer at a bar, and I was getting laid a lot during that time. And being that I was in my 20s, I was like, this is more fun than comedy, right? So I get fired Thanksgiving weekend of 2009. I fall into a deep depression, and then by summertime, my mom's like, why don't you go back to comedy? You were so happy doing that. And so I started writing new stuff, and then I started going up on stage again at the end of 2010. I became a semi open mic regular at Rooster T. Feathers for the next 6 years.
Oh, and okay. I love roosters.
I loved it at the time, and I got a bone to pick with them now. But at that time, it was great. You know, the thing I hated though was this is at the height of bringer shows starting. You know, and so like fucking bringing people out to commit was hard. I would only maybe able to bring two people if I was lucky. Like every time I played there, and so that became difficult. And I was drinking during that time, and lots of craziness happened. And then after my accident, I was on stage almost every night, and I had to deal with a lot of bullshit, a lot of open micers that were just starting like in the last year or two leading up to my accident and my recovery. So many of them were so freaking arrogant, and I'm sure a lot of them are still there doing it now. It seemed like they were much worse than the ones who were like starting in my class when I started. Um, but it was crazy. But oh my god, I remember those nights at the Brainwash. Sign-ups be at like 6:30, and then the show would start 7:15, and like you never knew what was going to be said or what was going to happen.
Right.
You remember? Oh my god! And at Scales, he would show up at 8:30 or something like that, and just blow the roof off the place. You know, I mean, even before he got hit by a car, he was just always friggin' on fire. And I had such high hopes for him. I thought he was going to be the next big thing in comedy. I was like, someone's got.
Oh, okay.
Like I wasn't a big fan of Dane Cook or Carlos Mencia, who were like the two biggest comics in the world when I started. I was like, God, somebody's got to fucking replace those guys. It's got to be Justin Scales, because I'll be a huge fan if he does.
Right.
But oh my god, yeah, a lot of the guys that started out in improv and then do stand up, a lot of them went back to improv or just not doing anything at all anymore. Like remember David Wiswell?
Yes.
Yeah, he's like in New York
Wondered
now
what
or something.
happened to him.
Yeah, he's like in New York now or something doing improv. Last time I talked to him.
Wow. Okay.
Julian Vance, like no one knows what happened to him. Like I'm always asking people, whatever happened to Julian Vance?
So, and no one knows.
Nobody knows. No.
I have wondered about him.
Yeah.
Wow.
I have no clue what happened to him.
I would ask Tony Sparks.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe Tony would know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've been Facebook friends with like Dave Medina and Max Neo and Caitlin Gill. She's in L.A. She has like I don't even know if it's like a relationship or a friendship, but she's really tight with Bobcat Goldthwait.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I kind of knew that. I saw her on he had a show a couple years ago. Did you see her on that?
No, but I'll tell you, in 2016, when I went to my first LA trip in years, her and Bobcat were doing a show at the Improv, and I had just failed an open mic audition to get in there that night. I didn't want to stick around and watch the show, but I really wish I had, because I could have met Bobcat. He was a hero of mine.
Oh, okay. Really nice guy. I actually opened for him at Rooster Tea Feathers.
Yeah, in 2012, he was supposed to play there, and he ended up canceling, and I was so disappointed because I was going that night.
Oh.
Yeah. What year did you open for him?
I believe it was 2012. If not 2012, then 2011.
It was probably 2011, because in 2012 he was definitely going to be there, and then ended up canceling.
Okay.
Oh my God! Remember Sweet Gail?
Yes, I'm wondering. Okay, is she okay? Whatever happened to her?
Well, let's see. I never went to the Brainwash again after 2009. I made some attempts to do it, but people, there were younger open micers that had just started after I got out of the hospital, and they even knew Sweet Gail. They would mention her, at on stage sometimes, or just at open mics in general. I was like, what? Sweet Gail is still doing it? Yeah. And of course, there's a bunch of guys that I started with that are in LA doing great, like Chris Garcia and Ali Wong and Marcella Arqualo and Mo Mandel.
So it was at Roosters. I was the host, Chris Garcia was the feature, and Bobcat was the headliner.
Oh, shit. I remember when Chris opened for Mark Maron.
That sounds familiar.
He opened for him at Roosters probably like in 2000, I want to say 8 or 9 maybe, somewhere around there. I remember it was advertised on Facebook, and I was like, holy shit, he's opening for Marin, right? And then, when I was in the hospital, I discovered Marin's podcast, and that's what gave me the incentive to start a podcast, because I was like, holy shit. I didn't think he was that great as a comic, but oh my god, he's a great interviewer. It's like old talk radio the way he does it.
Oh, yeah, I subscribe. I don't listen to every single guest. I just like, if it's somebody I really love, I have to listen. But,
I used to not listen.
I subscribe to too many.
Yeah. I used to not listen to every single guest, but now I kind of do, because even if I never heard of the person, at least I'll find something I like about it.
Right.
You know, who are you in contact with from the Brainwash days?
Oh, wow. I think I've run into Tony Sparks twice since I've been back, which seems about normal. Who else? So, Ben Feldman and I started around the same time.
Oh, God.
not the Ben Feldman from Superstore, but...
Oh, my God, that guy is... Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
That guy is strange. Oh, my God. In 2015, after I got out of the hospital, he was opening for Richard Lewis at the Punchline. I think it was the Punchline, Cobb's. And, like, I asked him, if I could get comps, because he was, advertising comps on his Facebook page. And he said, yeah, sure. So me and Paul Brumbaugh go to the show. And fucking after the show is over, which was great, by the way, Richard Lewis, I mean, he's not the same Richard Lewis he was in the 80s, all hyper and manic. He's a little bit more low-key now. After the show's over, me and Paul are fucking going to try to go up to Ben to thank him, and he fucking literally, like, fucking, runs away from us. It's like, what the fuck, man?
Ran away? Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I didn't understand that. I really don't, I mean, he's a darkly funny guy, I have to admit.
Mm-hmm.
He
probably had to go tuck in his roids.
Yeah, maybe.
That's a Ben line for sure.
Let's see. I've been in contact. Meredith Godfrey. She's been on 4 times. I just adore her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, she invited me to do the Hearth months ago, so that's when I got to see her.
Yeah, I got to do it a couple times. Yeah.
I don't see him much at all because he moved to Vegas, but...
Who?
And Ron Vai, I'm talking about Ron Vai.
Oh.
He started years before I did.
Mm-hmm.
But, we're still friends. And, and another one I never see because she lives in Sacramento, Liz Grant.
Oh, yeah, I remember Liz.
I'm going through, okay, who was at my wedding?
Yeah.
Love stalking. I don't get to see her, but it looks like she's doing some great work. So Pippi's a drag performer. I've always called Pippi she. I hope that's okay. We have never actually discussed it.
Yeah.
Who else? Susan Maletta. I see her every now and then. We get booked on these cougar shows. I'm like, well, I think a cougar's like, you go for younger guys. I'm like, I'm not technically a cougar, but I'll do anything for a buck.
Let's see. Rachel McDowell, I still talk to. You and Meredith, you 3 were like the nicest to me out of anybody at the Brainwash in those days. There's so many people that just didn't get me and was so judgmental. But you 3 are just so awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Kevin Monroe, he was, he's like trying to get out of LA. He's just always talking about how fucked up it is on his Facebook status. He came to my first night of my open mic that I was talking about just a moment ago, and he did pretty good.
Okay.
And
I'm sorry, are you currently running an open mic or no?
No. This was 10 years ago.
Past. Okay.
Yeah, 10 years ago.
10 years ago, yeah.
And I've had people from the Brainwash on here, like Christy Ono and Alicia Datner and Carolea Kuna, who I've had a falling out with, unfortunately.
Oh.
I had a falling out with her and Paul Brumbaugh at the same time, and the one with Paul really hurts me because he and I became very close the last couple of years that I was in the Bay Area and recovering and stuff. Like we were like seeing each other every day, kind of close, you know.
Aw.
But fucking, when you have a dream and the other person's not on board, and they got influencers saying this and that, it could be fucked up sometimes. It really
Mhm.
can, you know. But yeah, when I started going back to open mics after that break, I decided I don't want to go up to the city anymore. It's just there's too many tough crowds and there's too many homeless people. So, all these organic scenes in my area, the peninsula, San Mateo, and also San Jose, they were starting to open up the open mics. Britannia Arms, San Jose was starting to open, and then my neighborhood bar, the Lariat in Belmont, had open mic for a long time, like a year, and then stopped all of a sudden. And all these organic open mics started to happen, and I couldn't believe how much it blew up, quite frankly, because when I first started at the Brainwash, John DeCoven was doing open mics in San Mateo, and they didn't last. And
Mm.
I went to all of them and stuff, including the bar that I worked at that I mentioned before, the Swinging Door in San Mateo. They had open mic, for the first 6 months that the place was open after the old owner sold the place and stuff. And Jeff Applebaum took over for John. John just was like, "I'm done with San Mateo. I can't have an open mic up here," And then Jeff took over until it got permanently canceled, and now it's come back. Now the Swinging Door has stand up again. Oh, what's his name? I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he was really cool to me. He
I want to say Iman Dismore.
Iman, that's right. Yeah,
Iman. Okay.
I like Iman. He's cool.
Yeah, I think I've met him like once or twice at an open mic. Of course, there's an open mic. Well, it used to be called the Tipsy Lounge. I live in San Leandro, and when I, decided to come back, I just signed up for that open mic. I'm like, what the hell? It's like, close to home. Go do it. And now it's Danny Murray's Irish Pub, and now the open mic is only monthly rather than weekly. So.
Oh my God, I gotta bring something up to you. You probably don't remember this. Around, I think it was 2009. I want to say, you were gonna be performing at a comedy showcase at this shitty dive bar in Redwood City called the Villa Roma. Do you remember this?
I think so. Yeah. Thank you for reminding me of the venue. I used to keep a list of every single venue I've ever performed at, and I guess when I quit, I didn't care and I didn't save it. So I've been like trying to rebuild my list. And I remember, Redwood City. Was it? I want to say Dan Edwards booked that one.
I don't know who booked it, but
okay. But anyway, we digress.
Yeah. I hit you up on MySpace, and I said, "Oh, you want I might go to that show to watch. You want to hang out and stuff." And you said, "Sure." And then I got lost. I never made it to the gig. And now, fast forward 2 years later, my friend starts hosting karaoke at the Villa Roma, and she asked me to roll through, and I'm like, oh God, I don't want to make another attempt to find that place, right? Well, I found the place, and I stayed for 2 years, and I discovered that bar is a fucking cult. Okay, there's a bartender who was working that night of karaoke, and her father was like a sheriff when she was growing up, and like he went to high school with the owner, and so she's always had this attitude of like the rules apply to everyone but me, and she created her own little cult with her group of regulars, and I ended up becoming one of them, and I got I got suckered in. We would have this thing where, like, I'd come at, like, 8 or 9 o'clock at night on the nights that she was working, and she'd be giving me free beers the entire night in exchange for helping to clean her up, or clean up the bar afterwards, right? And then pretty soon I'm invited to, like, parties and barbecues that they're having outside the bar, and so many of the fucking regulars didn't like me. It was really, really weird. And I was there for 2 years, and then my mother and I were homeless for 4 years leading up to me starting this podcast. And during that time, um, this girl who had been hanging out at the bar on that bartender's nights of working, right? She was thrown out of the circle because she was calling out bullshit. She gave me a place to stay when I was homeless, and because of that, I was out of the circle, and it created a real clusterfuck. And it was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. And I swear to God, if I ever get a Netflix deal someday, I'm going to create a series based on that show. It's like Cheers, but as a cult, kind of, you know.
Wow. But now, what was culty about it? Like, did you end up, like, losing money, or was there, like, weird sex stuff? Did they brand you? I mean, I'm thinking
Yes.
Nexium here.
Yes. Okay.
Did they make you commit crimes?
No. But yes,
Save it for the story.
they did brand me, and she had a boyfriend who was, like, kind of alpha and kind of a jealous type, right? So she told me I had to pretend I was gay in order to hang out with her, and because I was drinking so much during that time, I went along with it, and pretty soon it permeated into my other social life when I was going to other places. And then pretty soon word got out around town that I'm gay or might be gay. And then pretty soon my family found out about this because my brother worked in the bar business too, you know. And as far as sexual stuff, it's funny. Most of the people that were hanging out in her group, right, were either gay or they were in the closet gay. It was fucking bizarre, Candy. Really bizarre. Yeah.
Interesting.
It is interesting, I mean, I have to write this shit out to, like, get to, like, for anybody to understand it. That's why I said I would turn this into a limited series on Netflix, because I do think it is interesting, because I'd never seen anything like this before in hindsight. But, like, after I had my accident and I sobered up, I was like, I was in a fucking cult and didn't even know it.
Wow.
Yeah. It was creepy.
Nobody ever seeks out to join a cult. It just happens.
Nobody does, no. But you would think, well, I mean, they go after people who are vulnerable and naive, and that's what I was at that time. They don't go after anybody who's smart, who knows, this is a fucking cult,
Gotcha, yeah.
Oh my God. So
how to pick your victim. Oh, it is rough out there. I don't know how the weather is where you are. Sorry. It's like, it's just like rainy and windy enough where I'm like, oh, I have to comment on this. Not like anybody can hear it through my phone, but
it's overcast. It's overcast over here, and there's a little bit of wind picking up.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I've been in Reading 6 years now, hoping to move to at least Sacramento or something in the future, somewhere that's better than here. Hopefully a good neighborhood where there's no drugs,
You call that a good neighborhood? No. No. You were talking about San Francisco, and I think you mentioned homeless and stuff. But I feel like it just feels like it's gotten so much worse over the years. And of course, it's going to be different for me because I wasn't hanging out in the city for many years. I just occasionally go, but it's bad. Like, oof.
Oh, let me tell you, they have a shit app because there's so much shit on the streets of San Francisco. You know that, right?
That makes sense. Oh yeah. I did, so once I came back, I actually did, I always call it a little play. There's this group, Dreams on the Rock Productions, Dreams on the Rocks.
Mm-hmm.
And they like rewrite old Twilight Zone episodes and put those on as a play. So I got to those Twilight Zone episodes, and that was over at Exit Theater. And people were still pretty masked up at that point, but it was kind of, it was optional. It wasn't required. But my friend and I, we were in this together, we wore the masks specifically just so we wouldn't have to smell shit, and so we wouldn't have to, like, hold our breaths a lot. Because we saw an impressive pile one day to the point where it's like, I think we were both, like, gagging and dry heaving. Like, that's how bad it is. Like, it's really hard to explain to people who have not been around San Francisco lately. Like, it just sounds like hell, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's awful, and those fucking homeless programs are just full of shit. They're designed to make the government look good and make people in need look crazy. They really are. Me and my mom, we had to go through all of that shit, and it was just awful. And I hope something turns around. I don't see it happening in this Trump era that we're living in.
Mm-hmm.
It's sad. It really is.
Yeah.
So since you've come back to stand up, have you like met the newer breed of open micers?
Yeah. Yeah, they're definitely. I'd say like all the pretty young ones.
The pretty young ones.
I was actually talking about this with another comic. I said, I feel like they all took the same comedy class.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A lot of similarities in the deliveries.
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's not just me.
Yeah, like Faco.
I do know Faco.
Yeah, he was very nice to me when I was coming back. Brady Hold.
No, don't know Brady.
Chris Nasco.
No.
Oh, he's funny. Chris is really, really funny. It's funny. He looks a little bit like David Bowie in the 70s, and he's like tan and he's super skinny. He's like in his early 30s or whatever, and he is just very witty and hilarious. And like when I met him, he was like he was learning to do crowd work, and he would just like talk to everybody. Like if I was one of the few in the room, he would be doing crowd work off of me, and sometimes it would get fucking annoying. And it was just like, come on, man, I don't know what to say in that moment because you're just so brilliant. Yeah.
Well, I hope I get to work with him.
Yeah. Do you know Jen Arrows?
Okay. I know we follow each other on Instagram, but I can't remember if we've actually met.
Oh God, I could see you and her collaborating on something. You're both like quirky funny. I can imagine it. She was really good to me when I was coming back. At first, she was a little put off by me, but then her and I like started talking off stage, and then she kind of started to like me more, and she's been on here twice, and every time we talk, it's laugh out loud hilarious. She is really, really funny, and she's like the master of gallows humor.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go check out her Insta.
Yeah, she's always fucking sending me shit on Instagram, and I told her the other day, I said, please stop, because I'm getting an overload of all these of all these messages on Instagram, and she's like, yeah, but you're the only one who will get this, and I'm like, I get it, but just, do you have to send them like, several times a day?
Right.
Is there anybody in Bay Area comedy that you hate?
Nobody off the top of my head, and I try not to hate anybody. Like, you'd have to really, really do something bad. But yeah, thankfully, yeah, that's good that I can't think of anyone.
Yeah, there's a couple, the ones that were just fucking dicks to me, especially in the last couple of years that I was there trying to do it and stuff, like Pete Munoz.
Oh, I don't see him enough to hate him.
Yeah,
he was always nice to me, but we didn't have a ton of interaction.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna go there, but like he and I like hate each other, and it's well known about that. And then there's guys like Victor Pacheco and Butch Escobar that I don't like either, that I don't get along with. There was a guy that I knew near the end that I was there, I found out that he got accused of rape.
Oh, Jesus.
His name's Noah Gain. Have you ever heard of him?
No. Is this the place to call him out?
No, he's gone.
He was accused.
Like he can't get on stage anymore in the Bay Area, from what I've been told. But like I met him a couple of times, and I saw him a couple of times. He was pretty damn funny. But like like a couple people, a couple girls like accused him of sexual harassment and then rape, and then like he got off with a warning because his family had money or something. I don't know. But I was like, holy fucking shit. Like, that shit is real, you know?
Wow.
Yeah.
I missed some drama. Noah, what was his name again?
Noah Gain.
Gang, like G-A-N-G?
Gain.
Oh, Gain, okay, gotcha.
Gain. Yeah, no, not gang. That would be funny,
right,
though.
I know, that'd be sad if his last name's Gang, like gang rape.
Yeah. Oh my God. Comedy breeds a lot of weird people, I'll tell you.
It really, it's the island of misfit toys.
Yeah, and it took me a long time to figure that one out, you know. I mean, you don't get into comedy because, you know, your self-esteem is super high and you had a good childhood. You know, you do it because you got this narcissistic need for attention in some way, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine you having that because, I don't know, you seem very well grounded and adjusted.
I think I've been through a fair amount of therapy, yeah. I can put on a happy face and, you know, act somewhat normal, but no, it's, you know.
Oh, we can all do that.
It probably wasn't horrible, but, you know, it wasn't great.
What's the
Thankfully, I, you know, didn't suffer as much as some people did. You know, there wasn't, like, constant abuse in my house or anything. But, you know.
What's the strangest gig you've ever performed?
Oh, that's a good one. I just asked somebody this the other day. I really can't think of a strange gig. I was trying to come up with, like, what's the weirdest venue? And I mean, I guess the Brainwashed? I mean, that's not even weird, but just the fact that it's a laundromat / cafe.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly, I don't have one, but I'll probably come up with something when I'm not thinking about it.
Okay. In 2007, me and Daniel, we played our first booked showcase at Our Little Theater. Did you ever perform there?
Yes, that was a strange one.
Yes.
I'll put that on that goes on like the top 3. There is also, I can't remember the name, but I know that there's a strip club where somebody does comedy there. I haven't done that one, but I would think that would be kind of strange.
Yeah, this skit was really strange because when I hear Our Little Theater, I'm thinking it's going to be really classy and really cool looking. Yeah, we got booked by Joe Gleckler. Do you remember him?
Yes, I have seen him this past year. Yep.
Every time I try to friend him on social media, he doesn't accept my request. That's like, dude, what the fuck? You know, I mean, we were so cool. So he booked me and Danny to go. We go. We spent a fucking ton of money on train and BART just to get up there, I'll tell you. And it's me, Danny, Joe Gorman, Kevin O'Shea, Sean Keane, and I think somebody else. And there's nobody there except for a just married couple from Canada who's like in their 50s. Yeah.
Oh, man.
They were sitting right there in the front row, and we were all just going up there doing our thing, and we all didn't have time limits. Like, Joe let it go because those were the only 2 people there, and they're on their honeymoon. So they were pretty good sports, that couple, you know, because they're Canadian. Canadians are not easily offended by any stretch of the imagination. I have learned that from doing this podcast because I have interviewed so many Canadians, and they just have such a dirty mind, I'll tell you.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's cool.
Yeah, except for the ones who conform to Hollywood and are, you know, buying the bullshit over there. Those ones definitely are, but like for the most part, no, Canadians are dirty-minded. So that was the strangest gig. I remember we went to a Chinese restaurant before the gig, and the fucking owner, who was also the cook, he demanded a tip. I mean, demanded
Oh,
it. Yeah, it was pretty scary because I thought the guy was going to draw a gun. I really thought so. Yeah, that.
wow. It's like just put it in the just include it in the price. Don't,
Yeah,
scare people.
it was. It was. That whole day was like fucking strange. That whole day. Oh, I forgot to mention. Do you know Kristen Frisk?
I don't.
She's a comic in Sacramento area. She started out in the Bay Area. She started there around '03, '04, and then by like '06, she was gone. And I met her in 2015 as I came back from my accident. We were in a contest to try to get into Flappers Comedy Festival, and we have been good friends ever since. She's been on here, I think, 4 times, and just we always have a great dirty laugh. The first one that we did, we talked over 2 hours and 20 minutes because we were just riffing and having a great time. And there's this one comic who doesn't do comedy anymore, and he ended up unfriending literally every comic that he knew after doing comedy for a while. They had a podcast before he unfriended everybody. This was like right in the height of the pandemic. His name is Jay Wuck.
Oh, don't know him.
Yeah, so they had this podcast called Frisked and Wucked, and it was so damn funny. They did like 10 episodes, and then he got out of comedy. And I was actually supposed to be a guest on there before everything went sour. But Kristen, oh my God, she's a lot of fun. We did a podcast where we're talking about PG rated teen movies from the 80s and trying to guess like who's a virgin and who's not, because when you watch the R rated teen movies, you know who's not a virgin because it's so open.
Mhm.
And I'm friends with Claudia Wells, who played Jennifer in the first Back to the Future. She's been on here a couple of times. And me and Kristen thought to ourselves, okay, obviously Jennifer is a virgin, and she's saving her virginity for Marty that weekend at the lake. But Marty has definitely fingered Jennifer because he's like put his hand on her leg, and she's like, "Stop it!" So I'm sure that he's at least fingered her, maybe even in public. And I told that to Claudia, and Claudia is a very proper Christian, but she's no prude, but she's a
Mhm.
proper Christian, and she's like, "That's a very astute observation, Tommy."
That's funny.
Yeah. So, how did you meet your husband?
So we met through. I don't know. Would you remember Jennifer Justice?
Jennifer Justice. That name sounds familiar. I should know her.
Yeah, she did stand up briefly, and that's how she and I met through stand up.
Hmm.
And after a few years, let's see, she decided to move to New York back in '09, and she had a whole bunch of going away parties, and my husband happened to be at one of them, so they met doing musical theater. So Jennifer's kind of like an all-around entertainer. She can sing, man. She's a great singer and musician. So they met doing musical theater, and we just happened to be at the same party, and that was it. I was with Ben Feldman, went to the party with me, and he was also friends with Jennifer,
Hmm.
and I heard him talking. He said something. Andy is his name, and I heard him go, "Hey now," and I was like, "Oh, are you a Howard Stern fan?" And he's like, "Yeah." And so we just like hit it off, and we were hanging out the whole party. And this was a Monday. It was Memorial Day, and I invited him to my first McNally show that Wednesday. So I kind of ran that room for a couple years anyway. But yeah, he showed up and then asked me on a proper date for that Friday, and it's like we've been together ever since.
Oh my God, that is so awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Congrats. I mean, as long as the guy is cute, he treats you right, and he can find your G spot, you're in like Flint.
And here, so fun fact about him, because I was scrolling through YouTube looking for, I wanted to hear at least one of your shows before I came on.
Yes.
I saw you had Jay Underwood on.
Yep.
And Andy was in a production of Babes in Toyland with him, and also Sound of Music.
Oh God, that is hilarious. Yeah, Jay, lived in the Bay Area when he was a kid, so I'm not surprised.
Yep.
Yeah, and now he's a proper Christian now. I was like, dude, what the fuck,
Yeah, is he? I want to say like a preacher or a pastor or something, like in Southern California.
Yes.
Am I close? Okay.
Yeah, he actually has a home over here in Redding.
Ah, okay. Okay, so what's the nearest major city to Redding? Because I feel like I kind of know.
Let's see. I mean, this is Shasta County. There's Weeds. There's Anderson. There's I mean, it's close to Sacramento, going in that direction. And Chico.
I was thinking it was near Tahoe for some reason.
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, I'm not that geography inclined,
Yeah. Oh, I use Waze to get everywhere. Like even places I go every day and know it's like the back of my hand. I'm like, I just take me.
Speaking of Howard Stern, I remember when you used to call into his show.
I never called in.
I could have swore you did.
That might be somebody. No. I don't even think I tried.
For some reason, I thought you did.
I've always been a super fan. I still listen to this day. Listen on the app, so it's all like I listen to the entire show.
Yeah, I'm glad.
For sure.
Did you listen to the whole Gina Schock interview?
Yes, and
yeah.
I just kind of chose her because I do of course love the Go-Go's, but here's another. This was a cool gig I did. I wasn't doing stand-up, but I was asked to judge a talent contest at this bar, The Mix, in the Castro. And Gina Schock and Jane, is it Weedland or Weidland?
Weedland.
Weedland. They were also judges. I sat with them, and then BB Sweetbriar, a drag queen. I think it was just the four of us. And I'll post the flyer on Instagram. I was going to post it before we spoke.
Okay.
But I feel like I'm like, I messed it up because I left my house too late. So I got there just right. I would say maybe 5 minutes before everything started. I wanted to get there early and meet the Go-Go gals and chat and maybe they'd strike up a friendship with me. I could play tambourine or something, but I blew it. I left too late.
It's funny, I reached out to Jane Weedland when I first started the podcast, and she turned me down twice, and I found out later she was getting diagnosed with bipolar disorder around that time, so she was going through a difficult time in her life. And then Kathy Valentine, her and I are talking about doing one this year. I reached out to her in 2020 because her book came out, and I was competing with so many other people to interview her. So it may happen this year. We'll see. The Gina interview definitely helped with that. And the whole thing with the Gina interview is that, her book was coming out and they were getting into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame the same month. And I was like, I got to get Gina Schock on because she was always my favorite in interviews. She's so sarcastic and funny and just takes no shit. And yeah, oh my God, the last 20 minutes of that interview, she just got very vulnerable with me and she made me cut a few minutes of that out,
Oh, okay.
It was great though. Oh my God, I'm so proud of that interview more than any because, I've been a huge Go-Go's fan since I was 11 and just like that 11-year-old in me just came out to play, that day.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
It was great to listen because I was like, I could just hear like what a fan he is, and I could tell you're just so happy that and appreciative to be talking to her. That was really nice to hear.
And I did cry after we were done. I did cry. I was like, holy fucking shit! I talked to a Hall of Famer. I didn't think that was.
I cried when I met Dana Carvey.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, oh God, poor guy probably thinks I'm psychotic. And he was so sweet. This was at the Throckmorton, Mill Valley. I believe it was 2012. And part of why I got emotional is because I was really like I had I would say I had like 1.5 feet out the door. So then I'm like, wow. But now I'm performing on the same stage that Dana Carvey's going to be on, later tonight. And then I'm up doing my set, and if you're not familiar with the Throckmorton, it's a big theater, and then there's an upstairs. So there's let's say the bottom is all full. People can sit on the balconies upstairs, and I could see him while I'm doing my set, and he was standing, and I'm like seeing him laugh at my jokes and stuff, and it was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like.
Yeah, I auditioned for his impression show, which you could see it on YouTube. I just got out of the hospital. I was still super skinny at that time, and like I'm doing Jerry Seinfeld and Stephen Wright and Rodney, and I didn't get it obviously, and the show didn't last. But like I auditioned for it. I've always been a big fan of Dana Carvey. His dad was my dad's business teacher in high school.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah,
cool connection there.
His dad, and Dana Carvey will say this. His dad was a fucking sociopathic asshole.
Oh shit! Yeah, you're right. Yes, I've heard him talk about his dad and his anger issues and stuff. And I do. I'm not all caught up, but I have listened to Dana Carvey and David Spade's podcast.
Oh, I love it.
It's great. Yeah.
I love it. Oh my God, they even had Bert Kreischer on last week, and he's never even been on Saturday Night Live, so that was awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah, Bert Kreischer's wife Leanne's been on here 3 times. I love her podcast, and before it took off, but when she had more time, oh God, she'd come on. She came on here 3 times, and we would just talk away about anything. She is awesome. I'm hoping to get her on a 4th this year at some point, and I talked to her in email a few months ago, so it might happen.
Mhm. Oh, that's cool.
But she's super busy. Yeah, I've been so blessed, and everybody like back home, fucking to them I'm just Tommy. I'm the guy that they've known, 30 plus years or whatever. It's nothing, but to me this has just been the miraculous gift of my life.
Yeah, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and the people who do like what I'm doing, that have known me for a long time, those are the ones that I celebrate. So, do you have any upcoming gigs you'd like to mention?
Let's see. Off the top of my head, I'm going to be at this. It's called the Empress Theater in Vallejo, and that's March 30th. And I believe it's like very limited seating. There's only 60 tickets or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's the next, I would say, major one I can think of. And then April 1st I'll be in Cloverdale.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, these are right around the corner. That's the Cloverdale, I want to say, Performing Arts Center. I hope I have that correct. But if not, I promote all my shows on my Instagram. Pretty easy to find. It's just Candy Shaw Comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Just CandyShaw. No fancy spelling there. My maiden name was Chirilla, so
yeah.
His name's a little easier. But I would say those are the 2 major ones I've got coming up, and I host trivia once a week. I'm either at tonight I'm at what's it called, Hop Grenade in Concord, and then every other Wednesday. So the next Wednesday I'll be in Lafayette at Headlands Brewing Company. Not the same as stand-up. I'm not that funny there because it's not about me. I'm basically like a game show host in real life, but I do enjoy it.
I hosted trivia. I was a trivia champion in all the bars years ago, and everyone fucking hated me because I got all the pop culture, music, movie, and stuff right all the time, and so I hosted trivia in 2 different places, 2011 and 2014, and I couldn't get anyone to come out, sadly. But I had fun doing it. I hope to do it again in the future. Heck, I even want to fucking start a trivia game show on cable access or something. That would be a lot of fun, and just put an adult spin on it,
Right.
Even have a sex category. That would be great.
Yeah, I could. I will. Yeah, you would. Definitely, that makes sense. You'd be good at trivia because just some of the guests you've had, I'm scrolling through and I'm just like, wait a minute, I'm older than Tommy and I'm not sure where he's getting these people from.
from the time I was born, I was watching a movie, listening to music, doing all of that stuff. I've always had so much time on my hands, because I didn't have a whole lot of relationships for a long time. Not until I got into the bar life. I did very little movie and TV watching during that period.
Gotcha.
you know, but like I've always been a pop culture junkie, just like Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah, that's but pop culture stuff. I think that's probably like my best trivia subject.
So real quick, let's play my secret silly game. This is a series of silly slumber party questions. No win or lose, it's just pure fun. And how the game works is I ask you the question, you answer it, then you ask me that exact same question and I answer it. And feel free to comment on answers because they might be funny.
Okay.
Candy, are you ticklish?
I am. Tommy, are you ticklish?
Yes. If you tickle me without warning, I might hit you in the groin.
Oh.
Is your belly button an innie or an outie?
Oh, it's an innie. Tommy, is your belly button an innie or an outie?
It's an innie.
Okay.
I actually remember you showing me yours like when we first met. Because I asked you I asked you if you had it pierced. I think something like that.
Yes. Yeah. I have a piercing in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, this one's ugly and old.
What color are your toenails painted?
Oh, it's like let's call it like a burgundy, like a wine color. Yeah.
Nice.
And do you paint your toenails by any chance?
I have since I was 13. It's been maybe a year or two, maybe a year and a half since I did it last. They were an Easter egg color blue last time I did it.
Nice.
Yes. What would you say is your best personality trait?
That pause is a little sad. I'm like, I mean, the first thing that came into my head is I do, guess I'm funny. I do like to make my friends laugh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, we'll say that's the best. That one popped into my head first. Let's not overthink it, Candy.
Okay.
What would you say your best personality trait is?
I have empathy and I have no filter.
Ah, okay. Nice.
And then my favorite question, is there a stinky smell that just makes you gag?
Oh, what really gets me? I would say body odor in general, but like stinky crotch.
Okay, what happens in your bedroom is none of my business.
I'm sorry, I forgot to ask you for you back. Is there a smell that makes you gag?
Either farts or feet.
Ah, farts or feet. Okay.
Okay, this is
those are good answers.
Yeah. This is non-game related. What's your favorite joke of all time?
Oh shit.
It could be any joke.
Oh my god. Oh, I'm totally blanking. What's yours? I'll stop thinking and something good will probably come to me.
Okay, Meredith Godfrey told me this, and it just kills me. And I have to be very careful with who I tell this joke to, because there's some women out there that will just cringe, but some will laugh their asses off. How do you make your wife scream twice?
How?
First you fuck her in the ass, and then you wipe your dick on the curtain.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
They are shocked when they find out that a woman told me that.
Yeah. I think it kind of softens the blow coming from a woman.
Softens the blow.
That instantly reminded me of the one, what do you tell a woman with two black eyes? Nothing, you've already told her twice.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
A girl I knew.
I'm not going to say that was my favorite, but yours reminded me of that one. I'm trying to. There has to be a joke like a street joke that I've even told over and over, but I'm blanking.
Yeah, a girl I knew in high school actually told me that joke. Yeah. Oh, there's one that my mom loves. Why don't girls fart?
Oh shit! I feel like I know this one. Why? Go ahead. I give up.
Because they don't shut up long enough to build up the required pressure.
Okay. Maybe I don't know that one.
Yeah, my mom just dies when she hears that one. She loves that one. Candy, you are still gorgeous, hilarious, and fun. Thank you so much for coming on and reliving old times.
Well, thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I hope your shows go super awesome. I don't know when I'm going to be in the Bay Area next, though. But if I do come, for some reason, anytime in the future, I'll let you know and come see you perform. Hopefully you'll be on a bill with people I like.
Yes. Nobody that you mentioned that you hated, and no rapist comics.
Yeah. All right, Candy. You have a great day and be safe out there.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Well, there you have it. Candy Shaw. Ain't she a sweetheart? Oh, I just love her. I adore her so much. She is awesome. I'm so glad we could have this talk today and relive old times. I don't have too many friends from the Brainwash days, true friends, and so it's nice to have this conversation. Well, until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying there's no shame in living in the past because the present sucks. Later, dudes.